Hey everyone, it's Tara, and today I'm going to share my favorite reads from 2017. Here we are, we made it to the end of 2017! So today I'm going to share with you my top 3 reads, and then maybe some honorable mentions. So I'm excited to share with you. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. So I talked about Brené Brown in a previous video. I was reading her other book, Rising Strong, but this was the first one I read of hers this year. And Braving the Wilderness came out this year in September. This is an extension of her research on vulnerability and belonging and authenticity. That Braving the Wilderness is about discovering true belonging and authenticity, essentially remaining authentic to ourselves and that discovery process therein. It sounds like a lot of work to work through, but it really isn't. She doesn't use a lot of jargon. It's very much for like the layperson, someone who's interested in learning more about this work in general terms. And as a social worker and as a researcher and just as a reader, I found this book to be so well written and apt to the climate of our time. It's political, emotional, and a little bit of no nonsense. I read this book at a time when I really needed it. I think I see myself returning to this book plenty of times in the future. I mean, look at these post-its. So many! You can objectively tell how much I love this book just by the sheer number of post-it marks on here. Like I said, this was my first Brené Brown book, and it propelled me to read her other ones. And I just want to read all of her work, essentially. It's such a nice mix of empirical research, leans on other stories as well as her own. Specifically, her own need to discover true belonging. Sections devoted to how harmful and divisive our language has become in a culture where we're moving towards othering people, essentially forcing people to be in our camp or another, simply if you don't agree with them. Anyway, I'd highly suggest this if you're desperately searching for meaning and really want to snap and yas all the way through this whole book, which is essentially what I did. Alright, let's move on to Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. Yes, I know, everyone loves it, and I love it for so many reasons. Got one of his probably signed copies, and then away I went. This book is similarly structured to other ones I've read of his, in that someone goes missing, mystery, and this mystery and intrigue brings folks who were formerly friends back together, really tests friendships, and other types of things that commonly appear in his books. But weaving in the element of mental health into this novel propelled it to be one of my favorite books this year, and especially of John Green's. Too many times has mental health and mental illness been trivialized or written by other people that do not have that mental health issue, and the fact that John Green wrote about it and does have OCD makes this book even more powerful. And this is something I would recommend for people who don't have OCD or who do have OCD. Everyone really better understand mental health and illness. And this book does exactly what novels should do. They unapologetically show you others' experiences that you may or may not have experienced yourself, and most likely haven't experienced. But oh my goodness, it's great. And then thirdly is We Are Never Meeting in Real Life by Samantha Irby. Samantha Irby is hilarious. You should follow her on Twitter and Instagram as well. So good, so funny. This is a series of essays derived from her blog, Bitches Gotta Eat, which you should also follow. She's unfaultingly her authentic self, to a fault. She acknowledges them all the time in this book, and I especially needed this book, and this book came at the right time. And you can't but help relate to her in so many ways. She writes how I think, and sometimes how I write to my friends or write online, which is in all caps. I cannot tell you how many times she writes in all caps in this book, just to prove a point, for emphasis, and other things like that. I can't tell you how many times I wrote, "I'm dead," next to things she's written, because she is so funny. Can't say it enough that this book is so funny. It's real AF. And therapeutic. This book is essentially, and all of her writing really seems like it's a front against the garbage world out there. But really, she has like the mushiest, most baked potato heart out there. The mushiest, most baked potato heart. I hope she appreciates that description. So I really couldn't stick to my 3, so like I said, I have some honorable mentions. Firstly is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I heard so much about this novel, and this is the first of the Neapolitan novels, and this was so fantastic and totally held up to all the things I had heard. This is the story of 2 women. In this first novel, it's focused on their childhood and adolescence. Lena and Lila, as they grow up in 1950s Naples, Italy. A lot is changing in this scheme of time. Elena tells the story, and it's rife with friendship, rivalry, gender cultural expectations, challenging cultural traditions, privilege of education, and ultimately, what it's like to be a smart woman navigating all of these contexts. Elena, the main character and who's telling the story, is always in complete awe of her best friend Lila, who doesn't have the same privilege of getting an education beyond 4th or 5th grade, but they always seem to be in some type of competition. Even just learning languages, learning the formal Italian and then Greek and Latin. I love this book and I can't wait to read the rest. The cover to this seems pretty simple, but oh my, the writing within is not. Rich with detail, emotion, and characterization. I read that this book is being adapted into either a movie or a miniseries, and I cannot wait to see it. Next is The Animators by Kayla Ray Whitaker. I really love this book. I got it from the Book of the Month, folks, and such a nice, beautiful cover. It's a story about, also similarly, 2 women who are best friends and are navigating the field of animation together as a team, as partners, and also talks about the tests of friendships. They both are from the South, so that was pretty interesting to read about because that's where I currently live, in North Carolina, and it deals a lot with bringing up their past and how that's sublimated into their work, and what does that artistic integrity refer to in terms of using other people's stories for your own art. Such a gripping read. So much happens, so much drama happens. And my last honorable mention is Carrie, this book by Abby Jacobson. Loved this one. So Abby Jacobson is one of the brilliant minds behind the TV show Broad City on Comedy Central. These 2 women who live in New York City. They're in their mid-20s. It has like a girls-ish type of feel, but it doesn't take itself as seriously. So by training, Abby is actually an artist, and this is actually mentioned in the TV show, but this book is focused on showcasing her beautiful artistic abilities and mixing that with like her sense of humor. I'll just read a quick tidbit of the book jacket here because I think that perfectly captures what this book is about. It's bright, quirky, and colorful with line drawings. Abby Jacobson brings to life actual and imagined items found in the pockets and totes, book bags, and glove compartments of real and fantastical people. Whether it's the contents of Oprah's purse, that was one of my favorites, Amelia Earhart's flight pack, or Bernie Madoff's suitcase. So those are my favorite reads of 2017. So now, what about you? What have been your favorite reads this year? And what do you have planned to read next year? I don't have a set plan yet. I'm still working on mine. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.